Hello. I started making a video a second ago, and then I got shut out by my phone's storage capacity, so I'm starting over. But there's no resolution yet. We're reflecting on power. We're reflecting on show business. We're reflecting on writing. We're reflecting on the nature of reality. All these things. And of course, there's no resolution as far as my campaign. I suspect that something is happening tomorrow. But even if nothing happens publicly, like on the surface, right, that in no way detracts from the reality that doesn't mean Daniela is not in the audience, her daughter is not in the audience. That doesn't mean that Quentin's not torturing me, right, somewhere else. And so that's what he was doing last year. I'm sure of it. And so this is why I'm afraid. This is why I'm afraid, because if the audience is all filled with fish people, and or not fish people, with Hollywood people, pardon me, and they're all collectively exercising their minds towards seeing me suffer and die through tactics which I espouse on this channel, right, then if there is enough people there, they are crossing a legitimate threshold for psychic pressure, which can yield physiological change in my body and cause me to die through mysterious circumstances, a stroke or an aneurysm or a heart attack, or right, etc., poisoning my blood, like all these things, like giving me AIDS, And so it's my belief now, right, that he did everything that he did on April 17th, right, because his wife was a fish fantasizing about me, and he knows that he's going to have to give her to me, right, and so he wanted me, like, after we're together, right, and we're like together and we can like go see fish, he wanted me to associate fish with him poisoning me, trying to poison me with AIDS with black magic. There it is. That's like the psychological gambit, right? That's like, and he succeeded, in some way, for sure. And I don't think that Daniela likes fish anymore. I think that they're all kind of like, this has never really been about fish, guys, honestly. Like, I have fun here, but, right, if it's not with Brian, I don't really see, like, why I'm here. And it's really disgusting to consider. So, Quentin didn't have the heart to tell me that his family was deeply enamored with me and really valued my purity and my skill, and that they needed me close to them all the time to balance Quentin's sadism. As a result of my vow of celibacy, I saw no women beyond the woman that I invited. Her name's Rachel. She's really talented, and I know we would fuck anytime I wanted to. Like, yeah, 100%. She's hot. We're hot for each other, right? But all the same, right, when he manipulated her to not go, not only manipulated her to not go, but manipulated her to not give me the ticket so I could find someone else to go. When he turned his back on me, I saw nothing. I saw nothing but Quentin manipulating me. Right? And so that's why I shoved the letter all the way up to his face. For him to at least say, oh, is that for me? It's, oh, do you have a question about the book? I like your shirt. Right? Where'd you come from? Right? But instead he turned his back and said, oh, now you bark. Now you're my meat puppet. Right? And so this is the joke for my scene, Hollywood's porch monkey, right? That's like, and I don't think that I'm Hollywood's porch monkey, but I'm his porch monkey. That's the point. And it was in exchange for, right? It was in exchange for, right? To be his son-in-law and be written into his will and like hang out at his house all the time and all these things, and that's like, I would have done it if I understood the full scope. But he intentionally did not disclose everything, because he intentionally expected to be able to treat my mind and treat me like a puppet, right? To where he has all my secrets and I let him, right? And so that upset me a lot. That put me in my fear. And that's why I turned my back and left, because I said, if he's still just manipulating me, if he's still just saying, no, give, right? Then if I don't set a boundary now, he'll just take from me forever. And I have it to give. Like, that is true. And once I realized about the women, I was deeply ashamed of myself. Once I realized about his genetic deficiency, I was deeply ashamed of myself, because I'd like to think that they're not whores, that they're not like tripping about like what makes me a powerful psychic clairvoyant, But I sent an email today to all the elementary schools that got grants from the Mockingbird Foundation last year. And I let them know in no uncertain terms, right, that if you keep the money that Fish gave you, that you now have a palpable connection to Harvey Weinstein's legacy of sexual assault. And so every time you see that 7-year-old girl start playing that flute, right, you can think about Harvey's skin flute violating all of those women in Hollywood for decades, right? And so that's fucked up, isn't it? And I never realized this. I never realized like how deeply Fish was like entrenched in this thing until like a week ago, until like very recently, you know. Even after they announced the shows at the Sphere, I sent them an email and said, "Can you just like give me a set of tickets so I can sell them and file my lawsuits?" But not knowing. And then after maybe like another week or so, I realized like, oh, it's the same day. It's the same day that he canceled the movie. Right? The same day that he made me believe he was trying to give me AIDS last year while Fish was playing in Seattle. So, right? It's not my fault that Quentin's house is out of order. It's not my fault that he took such a beautiful wife and isn't prepared to let her be happy. And he's manipulating me right now. You know, he's manipulating me right now. And in that way, like let's just talk about like all of it. Why don't we? Right? So, I sent 1 second. I sent us 4 letters in July, in the end of June 2023. Maybe 2 weeks before they announced when they would be shooting the film, which was, according to the trades, at the end of September. Sent them, right? And I was like visualizing all night. I was like, cool, he's going to see it. Like, he's going to see it and he's going to like reach out to me. And I didn't think anything else about it. I said, it's in God's hands. Like, what else can I say? Like, what else can I say, honestly? So, 6 months elapses. The SAG strike continues until Thanksgiving, around Daniela's birthday. And so, it's my contention that all of the women were wrestling with this film in a real way, as far as like what it represents spiritually, what it represents like to the world, you know, as a piece of art, you know, to the critical establishment, you know, to the artistic critical establishment. And so knowing what the film is, right, that it's a monument to Quentin and Harvey's relationship with the women of show business for all these decades, that when Daniela saw my material, right, at around Thanksgiving, right, around the same time that the SAG strike ended, it's my contention that she said, I want you to try to talk to him, right, as a psychic in the way that this whole saga has gone down. Right? And so the first thing that he did was he got me to learn Django Reinhardt, minor swing, note for note. And at the time, right, this is how naive I am. Right? At the time, I was like, yeah, I can learn this song. Like, sure, like I'm good enough to learn this song. You know? Not knowing that he's manipulating me in a real way. And I learned it in like 3 days. You know, like I didn't learn it in an hour. It took a while, 4 days, you know? But as far as the guitar solo at the beginning, boom, all the way through. It's about 2.5 minutes. Note for note. So I learned it, and then I didn't think anything else about it. I was like, cool, I got that. It's like in my repertoire. Like, great, now I know another song. You know, like, that's the whole formula. And so it's now my contention, right, that they were looking at him saying, well, like, what do you have to say about it? Like, what do you have to say about it? To which he had no choice but to say it does seem like he did learn it, but he's not writing. He's not going to write. Because he's so arrogant, he thought that I would immediately associate Django with the movie Django Unchained. Right? And so it's my contention that they said, okay, you need to, right, he doesn't realize he's really talented. You have to go a little farther. Right? You have to go a little farther. And so while I was backstage at the Two Gentlemen of Verona, that's when he said, oh, if this guy writes me again, you let me know. And he made me believe that he was like reading my letters. Against all manipulation, they had all read the letters by that point. And so I wrote him a letter immediately, and I went to a taping studio. I did Django, did 5 minutes of Hamlet, And I sent him 8 pages of a novel that I had written called Sea Dream, about a mute quadriplegic who has recurring dreams about the ocean. So, I don't know this because no one wants to tell me anything, but it's my contention that those women said, oh, this is great. Like, what's the problem? We'll send her, as far as her daughter, she'll go watch him at the Two Gentlemen of Verona, and then he comes here, and you could talk to him, and he could play the role. He's so fucking talented. What exactly else is he proving to you? He shows you 6 minutes of Hamlet. He shows you 8 pages of a novel he wrote. He shows you he played Django note for note. What else is there that he has to show to you? And of course the answer is nothing. I have nothing else to prove to him as far as artistic skill is concerned. Right? That there are any number of artists who made their living off of one of those faculties. And I showed him 3. Acting, music, writing. Right? So, the scene that I sent him, that I suspect will be debuted tomorrow on stage with Fish, right, is a scene of me yelling at a bunch of actors for reading my writing. It is now my contention, right, that maybe they did read it. But it's my contention that he manipulated them to open that book and read it and get bitter about, what I was saying, right, which is a disgusting violation of personal boundaries, right? Anyone will tell you that. They'll say, oh, so you opened a man's private journal and read it. You're a fucking loser. That's the whole formula. That's unilateral. No one's ever going to say, oh, yeah, well, he left it out. No, if you know who that person is and you interact with them, you stay in your fucking lane, right? And when they allow you to read their writing, then you say, oh, cool, thanks, you're giving me access. Right? But all the same, Quentin manipulated me into yelling at all of those actors about reading my writing and getting thrown out of that show to prevent his stepdaughter from being able to come watch me and then bring me to their house. Right? And so it's my contention that destroyed his marriage in that instant. That's there it is. That when I sent the next letter and said, yes! Okay. That when I sent, sorry, it's my mother. When I sent the next letter and said, you can't watch me in the Two Gentlemen of Verona because these people were reading my writing, that those women knew. They knew what he was doing. And he was like, oh, he, now you can't go see him. Right? That's disgusting. That's actually disgusting. That's the most disgusting thing anyone could possibly imagine. Right? For him to filter, right, their sexual needs, through his psychic, lizard slime, because in his mind he was oh, see, he's not strong. He just, let him believe that, all these people, read his writing, when in reality, they did all read it because he manipulated them too. Right? That's there it is. Right? And so how do I know that? I know that because when I sent my letter, right, with the invitation for the show, I had a postcard of the show. I said, Merry Christmas to the Tarantino family. Right? It had all of the actors in the material. Right? So he at least has a name, right, as far as the psychic mind game is concerned. Right? So he's got all their names, and he's blasting all of them saying, oh, read this man's writing, read this man's writing. There it is. That's how it's done. Right? He's a sick fucking loser. That's the point. Right? And so when he got me thrown out of that show, it's my contention that Daniela said, I'm done. We're not married anymore. You're a disgusting man. You're a disgusting man. This guy does nothing but express his heart purely on the page, out in the world. Right? And you have to obliterate the purity of his heart because you hate everything. That's there it is. Right? And so, right, when he announced that Brad Pitt was playing the role, she told him, if you start making this movie, I'm going to go to him and say, can I be with you? I know this is a lot, but Quentin's not good to me. And I really appreciated how strong you are and how talented you are. And I feel like I can be good to you if you wanted to try it, And I have this daughter and she's really pretty and she loves you too. Yeah. That's so there it is. And I'm oh, so funny. Oh, he's lost his mind. Right? And so that's what all of this has been about. That's what all this has been about. Right? That's why he was able to cancel the movie in April when I started reviewing movies in protest immediately, because he wasn't making the movie. That's the point. Right? Right? He never shot any footage from that script until 2025. That's the point. Right? And so in my mind, if we're just like analyzing like what's occurring, right? If we're analyzing what's occurring, that when the trades announced, which is why I cut my hair, that he was shooting it at the end of September, in spite of the SAG strike lasting until Thanksgiving, until Daniela's birthday, that doesn't mean they can't build the sets. That doesn't mean they can't like do everything else, right? They just can't have any actors like on the set, right? So in my mind, right, they had already made a lot of the movie when he canceled it. That's the point. That's the point. That he manipulated me so much and kept me in like such a state of confusion that I didn't see. I literally didn't see that he hasn't made any of the movie yet. Because I trusted like what he published in the trades. And so, it was easier for me to walk away. That's the point that I'm making. That when he turned his back, I said, no, I'll just take my $2 or $3 million. They've already made most of the movie. That's like, no, I don't like what this represents in my mind. I don't like that. I don't like that he's taken so much from me and then he can't put me on the spot. That he's giving me the ability to leave. There it is. Right? But if I knew that he hadn't made any of the movie yet, right? That his marriage was hovering over this precipice, of course I would have given him everything, because I don't want to destroy his marriage. I don't want his wife. That's not why I wrote at all. And so that's where like I'm racked with like a real guilt, and I know I have no legitimate like reason to feel guilty, because I can't make her love him. He can only make her love him. Right? But because he's like the way that he is, because of his genetic deficiency, right? Everything has to be filtered through his mind, through the psychic mind game. Because, right? If I'm a strong psychic and I can like sexually gratify these women at the same time, then he's just a cuck who sits in the corner. That's the real point. And that's humiliating to consider, 100%. 100%. Right? But it's my contention now that when I told him the secret to my clairvoyance, right? My celibacy, that I have like a physical like issue, and it's superficial. That's why I put it on paper. Right? I can use, right? There's like a formula, right? And like I can do this formula, and then like, right, I have a hammer in my pants. Like I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. But like I'm like up here, like I'm cool, like no, like everyone else can have that, because I don't want to explain myself, right? But it's my contention that when I told them that I was 8 years celibate, that Daniela, that all of them, right, that they said nope, no man's touching me until like I have him. And maybe that's not completely true. Maybe it's not true at all. Yes, like I understand that. Like it's very funny, like oh, famous people, But is it not possible? That's the real point. Right? Like beyond the fact that I'm like arrogant, beyond the fact that like I'm just like Quentin, right? Despite the fact that I have no money, right? Is it not possible that the most beautiful women in the world, being subjected to Quentin's disgusting psychic sadism for the last 10 years, would see my celibacy, would see my purity, and say, no, I think that we need to not like have sexual experiences until we show him that we love him and that this has been about us and how like we're attracted to him, because he's like a Boy Scout and he just like doesn't understand, And so we're gonna not do that like as an act of solidarity because your wife is miserable and you don't love her. Very funny. I suppose I'll stop. The hours are ticking away. Maybe nothing happens. Right? Maybe I get AIDS tomorrow. Very funny. The Mockingbird Foundation supports satanic occultism. Sue Anastasio is a satanic skank.